U.S. military officials tell CNN that they're concerned about Ukraine's focus in the war. They call Kyiv's efforts and attacks on Russia's infrastructure in Crimea a distraction from its counteroffensive to retake ground. CNN reporter Katie-Bo is following that part of the story from Washington.
Victor Amara, against the backdrop of this stalled counteroffensive, Ukraine in recent weeks has been ramping up its attacks on Crimea, this symbolically and strategically critical peninsula that has been occupied by Russia since 2014. Ukraine has launched missile attacks on key bridges connecting Crimea to the mainland, as well as Russia, and it's hit logistics and command and control hubs with artillery fire. For Ukraine, the idea is to try to isolate Crimea and make it more difficult for Russia to sustain its military operations on the Ukrainian mainland. Of course, they see Crimea as a critical part of Ukrainian territory and these attacks as a key element of the counteroffensive strategy. For now, though, military and intelligence officials that we spoke to say it's too early to tell whether these attacks are having any real impact on Russia's ability to defend against the Ukrainian counteroffensive. But Victor Amara, what we are hearing is some real skepticism behind the scenes in some corners of U.S. government. For some military officials, these attacks on Crimea are a valuable waste of resources, especially given that many U.S. analysts now believe that Ukraine overall is stretching itself too thin between multiple axes of attack. As one senior defense official put it to us, it's knocked the Russians off balance a bit, but it's not doing anything decisive, and it would probably be better for everyone for them to just focus on the counteroffensive. Now, at least for now, the United States is not actively advising Ukraine against striking Crimea, this official told us. But what is almost certainly true, according to the analyst we spoke to, is that the longer the counteroffensive drags on without any significant gains, the greater its chances of failure. Victor, Amara.
All right, Katie-Bo, thank you very much. For more now, let's bring in retired General James Spider Marks. He is a CNN military analyst. Good morning to you, Major. So let's talk about, this new reporting from our Katie-Bo that American officials are concerned about the strategy in Ukraine where they're focusing this emphasis on Crimea. And we're learning that, of course, some American officials are not happy about it. What are your thoughts on this strategically?
Yeah, I think Katie-Bo's reporting is spot on. It's a little bit critical to say that it might stall, that it might not be successful. That's a truthful assessment, or at least there's an element of truth within that, and there's some concern. The thing that the Ukrainians are doing right now is they are expending intellectual firepower and they're expending firepower on objectives that are not directly attributing or at least contributing to the success of trying to isolate Russian forces. And then as a result of that isolation, you then must reduce those forces. When you go after targets in Crimea, they've also taken shots into Moscow a couple weeks ago. Those are distractions. What needs to take place is all of those weapon systems, all of that planning, all of the direction that the Ukrainians need to take right now needs to be on one or two very specific objectives so that they can achieve some immediate tactical success and then exploit that success. When you start throwing firepower in the direction of Moscow and then deep into Crimea, you're not going to achieve that.